My name is Kofi Chumampafo, and I am currently a software engineer at Goldman Sachs. Um, I am Ghanaian, studied and lived my whole life in Ghana, and I moved here in London to work in technology. And I'm here to present to you on the opportunities in technology. Um, so this is what I'll be taking you through today. What is technology? Why technology? The opportunities that there are in technology, breaking into tech, finding in opportunities in technology, and some frequently asked questions. So what is tech? I'm sure we all have an idea of what technology is and what we mean when we say tech. These are technology careers offer professionals the opportunity to work in many industries. So when we talk about technology, it's anything that has to do with either computing or computers or data or things that have to do with things around this type, right? So because of how much our world has developed, right, there's always a need for people that are specializing in how computers work, people that are specializing in how data can be manipulated, and people that are specialized in how technology can be used to make our world a better place. So if you are someone that is interested in technology or someone who wants to break into technology, there are so many opportunities for you in several industries wherever you may go, whether it's in the healthcare sector, whether it's in business, whether it's in finance, whether even in governance or even social media and all of those things. There's a space for everybody in technology. And careers in technology can be pursued in several work environments, including fast-paced startups, innovative tech firms, and small IT departments. So in the grand scheme of things, right, when we talk about technology, we're talking about all the rules or all the work you can do that is related to either computing or related to machines, relating to data analytics and stuff around those ends. Now, why would you consider a career in technology, especially as someone growing up in Africa or growing up in Ghana or Nigeria who is looking for opportunities? Why technology? Um, One reason is that technology is a fast-paced, creative or analytic role, which means that whatever career you pursue in technology, it's bound to not be stagnant. You are bound to not be someone who you find that you are bored in your role or you do not have anything to do at any point in time. There's going to be work for you and it's constantly changing. So you have to be someone who is interested in learning on the job and also pick continuous learning. I quite remember when I started out working, there are some technologies that I was using just about a year or two ago that have been phased out, and now I have to learn new technology as well. And every single day, new technology comes out that I have to learn in order to be proficient or in order to be good at my role. So if this is something that interests you, if you are someone who wants the challenge, who wants to continuously learn, then tech is definitely the career path for you. Technology is global. That means that everywhere in the world, there is a need for people that are proficient in technology. And even beyond that, the knowledge that you acquire in one role in any country can be applied to almost any other role, right? You know, unlike other careers where you have to study within a geographic location to be able to work in that space, something like maybe law or maybe medicine or something, tech transcends borders. So if you can learn technology in Nigeria and apply it to working place in other places as well. Even beyond that, there's a high demand for people in tech. So you always hear about companies recruiting from other countries come and work, or even companies giving employees the ability to work remotely. Tech is one of those jobs where you have the ability to stay in your locale and still contribute massively and contribute a lot to benefit people in another place. So that is one reason why you might want to branch into tech. Tech has one of the most competitive benefits in terms of all career paths. That is, when I talk about benefits, I'm talking about things like compensation. Tech people are some of the highest paid people in the world, especially when they are starting out in their careers. And this is due to the fact that we have like such large companies or such large groups that are interested in such talented individuals. When we always talk about tech, we know about the big tech companies like the FAANG companies, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google. But even beyond that, other smaller companies as well, and even other larger companies in other industries also compete for the same tech talent. And because of this high demand, it makes the benefits that you get from working in tech really great. Things like salary, things like flexibility in terms of working, you get to work remotely and stuff like that. You get to negotiate better hours as well. And then because they want to keep you and retain you, most companies that recruit tech people usually have like flexible arrangements or things that try to make it a better working environment for the people in technology. So that's another good reason why I might want to work in tech. Another thing as well is flexibility. So I I am a software engineer at the moment, and so the things I work on mainly are in the software engineering space. Since I started working, I have been able to transition into 2 or 3 different roles within the same umbrella of work, right? This is because of the kind of skills that I have, which makes it able for me to transfer from one sector of the tech industry or from one field of tech into another, just because of the fact that I have been able to practice and understand what it means to work in tech, right? So with tech, you are flexible in a lot of things, right? The kind of things that you can work on. You can work in almost any industry and in almost any sector of the world, whether it's in the healthcare, whether it's in business, whether it's in governance, all of them. So if you understand what you are interested in outside of tech and what you want to do in tech, you can marry those two to make you really enjoy the kind of things that you want to do. So that's what I mean when I talk about flexibility. You can also have flexibility in terms of location, as I mentioned earlier, and flexibility in terms of working hours and stuff like that. Another great reason why you work in tech is innovation, right? People who work in technology are at the helm of innovation across the world. Whether you are building large software that is going to be the next social media sensation, or you are building healthcare products that are going to impact people's lives, or you're just building the next fintech company, or you're working on maybe the UI for the next fintech company that's going to take Nigeria or Ghana by storm. At the heart of technology is innovation. So if you are someone who is interested in building innovative products, or someone who's working with a brilliant team of people that are looking to innovate a sector or innovate a field, then tech is where you need to go. Aside from that, even the tools you're working with, the tools are either innovative or they force you to become innovative. So you're either having to learn. I mentioned earlier that tech is fast-paced, which means that the tools that you're working with are always changing. So if today you knew how to use maybe Excel, in a few years' time, there comes a new innovation. Now you have to make sure that you are learning and picking up these new skills. So maybe that may be Alteryx. In a few years, you have to learn Tableau and all of those kind of things. So that forces you as well to be someone who is interested in learning new things and someone who is innovative as well. And there's also a diversity of jobs within technology, right? So when you mention technology, many people first go to, oh, technology, you have to know how to code. But that is not the end and be all of technology. There are several other roles in technology. There are several other opportunities in technology. And that is going to be the next section of the talk I'm going to talk about, right? There are people in technology who are analytical, people in technology who are creative, people in technology who are managerial, right? So because of that, there's like a whole range of things that you can do in technology, which makes it a brilliant sector for you to work in. And because of how closely knit some of these jobs are, it is very easy for you to transition from one to the other. All that matters is that you find out where you need to start and then you can go from there. So yeah, so these are a few of the reasons why I believe tech is an amazing sector to work in and why I chose technology. And if anyone wants to, I would recommend that as well. So what are the opportunities in technology? In this section, I'm going to break down some of the larger divisions of what it means to work in technology. I'll mention some of the job titles there are in technology. And if possible, I'll mention some of the skills that you need to work in some of these roles. So what are the opportunities in technology and working in technology? The most common of them is a software developer. So as you are all listening to me now, many of you are using either a mobile phone, a computer, and you're using Zoom which is an application. Yeah, this Zoom is hosted on a platform, whether it's Windows or Mac or any other. That is also a sort of the software that you're using, and you're using a computer or a mobile phone, which is also another device. The whole role of software development is to create these applications or create these tools that are used to solve specific problems. So there are a wide range of software developers around the world, right? There are people who develop applications for mobile phones. That's whether it's iOS apps or Android apps. There are people that are into web development, that is creating things that go into your browser, whether it's Chrome or Safari. So they build applications for the web. An example of this may be Facebook. Before it became a mobile app, Facebook was largely web-based, and there are so many web apps and websites. I'm sure many of you know a lot of examples of these as well. You can also be a database administrator. So database administrator is the people that work with SQL, and they are the ones who manage the data of websites or large things that we interact with. An example of this is, let's say you're using maybe Facebook or something. Once you close the Facebook app and you restart it, Facebook still has some of the information you put in there, or you even start on a new device, right? This is because your information is stored in the database, and you need people to manage this database. That is, when I talk about the management, that is the architecture, that is how information is transferred between the database and your mobile application or your web application. So that is the whole role of database administrators. And we have quality assurance engineers. That's people that are consistently testing your app to make sure that your application is working well, your application does what it's supposed to do, and your application is fits the needs of the users as you have described it. So that is one of the main branches of technology that people know about, software development. And largely software development has to do with coding. It has to do with building some of the architecture or making the choice of architecture that you're using to create your application. So that is it for software development, and I'm sure many of you know about this. Another opportunity that you can find in technology is data analytics. So data analytics, or the data scientists, are the groups of people that try to make meaning out of data. What they do is they are looking for trends, they're looking for opportunities, they're looking for patterns in data to see if they can use this data to make business decisions or to make or to inform people about stuff, right? So data analytics is basically looking at information, looking at uncategorized or ungrouped data or raw data and making information out of it, right? So some of the roles that you have in data analytics may be data scientists, data engineers, business intelligence specialists, and research and insight people, right? So because of this, right, data analytics is also an interesting place to work in. So if you're someone who is really big on numbers, really big on understanding or spotting trends or spotting patterns when it comes to numbers and stuff like that, then data analytics is the role for you. So software development is for people that are either technical or analytical or interested in problem solving. Data analytics is mainly for people that are interested in numbers, analytical as well, and also interested in problem solving. Another big role we have in tech is UI or UX designing. That is user interface designing or user experience designer. This role is largely for people that are creative and people that like to gather information, right? So people that are interested in the behavior of applications and how they work. So I know many of you know this, that one thing with applications or software is that you want to give your users the best experience. That means that you want to make it easy for your users to understand how your applications work and how to make it work for them the best, right? So sometimes it may mean that you need to change the color of your applications, make something blue or red, or give more information when a user clicks a button, right? It may also mean that change the flow of your website. So instead of putting this button before this page, you might reverse the order, right? The whole point of UI or UX design is to understand the best way by which applications can present their user interface to make sure that they meet the needs of their consumers. So some roles you have in UI or UX designing are front-end designer, user research analyst, computer research scientist, and the likes, right? So this role is largely for people that are creative, people that are interested in human behavior or human psychology, and roles people that like to collect data to understand how applications work and the best way to design them. Another set of roles we have is the machine learning, cybersecurity, and IT management. So machine learning is sort of a combination between data analytics and software engineering, where you go deeper into how these things work, how you use historic data to now make future predictions of how things will work, right? So what AI is doing is artificial intelligence, right? It feeds on previous data and it says that I'm going to predict that in a number of years, this is going to happen. Or based on the information that I have, this is the most likely outcome. You see AI used in several fields, such as voice recognition, such as predicting weather patterns, such as building robots or building smart bots that can interact with users and all of those things, right? So machine learning is also another field that if you are really technical, if you are really interested in how the nitty-gritty of how things work and the technicalities involved in some of these roles, then yeah, machine learning might be a good place for you to start. Cybersecurity has to do with securing infrastructure. So whether it's securing websites, securing databases, making sure that the technology that you have built is free from people being able to break into it or steal your information, right? Imagine a bank, an online bank, and then people are robbing it every day, right? It doesn't make good user experience, and people are not going to use your application because your app is not secure. So at the heart of every application, a large part of it is security. I can give you examples like Facebook invests a lot in security to make sure that people do not hack into them or people do not hack into user accounts. This is largely the job of cybersecurity experts. And some roles you have in there are information security analysts, crypto analysts, penetration testers, that's the ethical hackers and the white hat, red hat hackers, and then intrusion detection specialist. So if you are someone who is interested in this kind of things, you probably be someone who likes fidgeting with things to make sure to see at what point would this thing break. You're analytical, you're technical as well, and you're interested in safeguarding or breaking into stuff, then cybersecurity might be a role you might be interested in. Another big part of technology which people do not largely talk about is IT management. So you might have a team of software engineers building an application, but you need someone to lead them. You need someone to give them the direction that they are going to be working in. And that is where IT management comes in, right? So IT managers are sometimes some project managers, right? So let's say we are building an application. Let's say we are building the next social media application. Aside from the people that are working on the day-to-day development, right? There's someone who is coordinating all of these resources to ensure that this happens. And that is the project manager. So I'm making sure that my technical people know what they are doing. I'm making sure that the people on the business side know what we are doing. And our clientele, we're also building things that our clients want, right? So that central point or that person or the group of people that ensure that the technical resources, the clients and the business are all aligned and are on the same page are the project managers. And so they handle things like timelines, they handle things like feature requests. So if any of your clients wants new features, they go to the project manager. Project manager says, oh, this is a nice thing to put in our application. Let me break this down and then break it into what we need to do and then send it back to the people on the technical side, and then they can get something to do, right? So the IT managers are the project managers, the information systems managers, the chief technology officers, and sometimes in some companies, the CIO or the chief information officers and IT directors. So these are people that are largely into making sure that the resources we have are working efficiently to do what we want to achieve. Another large role we have is IT engineering and support. So so these are the kind of roles that are largely about the infrastructure that you need to do to develop or to work in technology. So things like network systems, things like making sure that you have your infrastructure that you need. Things like making sure that you have networks, you have links, you have data systems, you have with on-prem or remote like resources that people need to build the website. All that comes into IT engineering and support. So you have system analysts here, you have network engineers here as well, and tech support. So if you have any issue, you call a line, and then tech support will give you information on how to solve your problem, or they'll liaise with the tech team on how to solve your problem. We also have operations analysts here, and these these are all that I've mentioned are some of the roles that you have in tech. It is not all encompassing, but it's a nice place to start to understand what it means to have a career in technology and to find out what you need to do to get into technology. Right. So the next section, breaking into tech. How do you begin a career in tech? The first place to start is what to know what type of role you are looking for. What do I want to do in technology? So I mentioned several roles there are in technology, and one person can't study all of them, right? You need to select a niche, you need to select what you are interested in, and then work towards that. So a good place to start is to first know yourself. What do I like? And then know what do I not like at all. Some people do not like coding at all. And so even in my school, in my degree, when I was learning computer engineering, some people may declare that they did not like coding at all. And so they decided to focus more on the designing aspects because that's what they enjoyed. They were creative people and not necessarily technical in the coding sense of the word technical. So you need to know yourself and what you enjoy and what you do not enjoy. This will help you narrow down what you need in order to succeed in the role that you've selected, and then it will help you decide on the role as well. Another thing the next thing you need to do after knowing what you want to do in technology is to learn technology skills, is to learn these tech skills, right? So if you've decided that you want to be a database administrator, that means you need to learn what a database is. You need to learn how it is managed. You need to learn some languages like SQL or some NoSQL as well, if that's what you're interested in. So these are the skills that make you succeed or make you be able to work in the role that you have selected. So learning tech skills is very important if you want to break into tech. After learning the skills, you need to take on some mini projects. You need to build something, whether it's from front to back or from you pick something that is already existing and build on top of it. The whole purpose of this is to learn or to understand how much you've understood what you've learned, but also to show anyone else that you've also understood it, right? So if you say you understand Python, right, or you know how to code in JavaScript, but you haven't built anything in JavaScript, or you haven't demonstrated your ability to use JavaScript, it becomes difficult for me as a recruiter, or me as someone who wants to employ you to work for me, to understand what you can and cannot do. So taking on technical and building mini projects is very important for you if you want to break into technology. The next thing you need to do is to apply to opportunities. So with tech, you can, especially in careers like software engineer, you can work for yourself and you can build your own applications. But you can also decide to work for companies, whether it's large companies in Nigeria and Ghana or companies around the world. You can always apply to opportunities outside, and then you can maybe land an internship or land a role outside, and then you can get what you want to do. Another thing you will need to do as well is a network. The only reason why I'm able to give you this talk today is because I networked with a few people and then they gave me this opportunity to come and speak with you, right? Opportunities are best, many times the best opportunities we find are the opportunities we find when we network with other people. That is getting to meet people that are in the same field as us, or meet people in different fields from us, getting mentors, mentoring other people as well, or even reaching out to people on LinkedIn, right? you need to take advantage of your community and network with people to find the roles that you're interested in to break into tech. I got my first tech role because I spoke to someone who was already in that team, and they told me that they were looking for people in that team as well. So I got my tech role from networking. You can also do that through networking or applying to opportunities. All that comes down to you and the best way you can go about it. So where to begin learning? So now you know what you want to do. You've decided on the tech role that you're interested in, and now you want to know where to begin learning. If you're going into software engineering, I'll advise that one resource you can use is Free Code Camp and W3 Schools. These are all free resources that help people that are breaking into technology, right? They can take you from someone who knows nothing about technology to someone who can actually create a website or can build things, build technical applications with stuff, right? So these are free resources, right? Free Code Camp and W3 Schools, they are free to use for anyone who wants to go into software development. If you are interested in the others like data analytics and machine learning, I would always recommend starting from YouTube. The reason why I recommend starting from YouTube is free. You get a lot of information from YouTube. And if at that point you decide that this is something I'm actually interested in, then you can go on to a paid course like Coursera or Udemy, right? So I'll always recommend that you use YouTube, the learning materials on YouTube and Google to test the waters to see, okay, I think machine learning sounds fancy. Is this something I'm actually interested in? Is this something I can actually do? Go to YouTube, search for machine learning, machine learning tutorials or machine learning projects, and try and follow along and try and build with them. At some point, I realized that this is not for me. I hate it. I don't understand anything they're talking about. And I don't see myself working in this role for the next 2 or 5 years. Then that's fine. You can drop it and then try something else because it's free. On the flip side, you can find that I actually really love this. I want to become a machine learning engineer. Let me build on my knowledge. And you might find that sometimes YouTube may not be enough. Let me go on to a paid course like Coursera or Udemy, and then you can learn from there as well. Some of you may be fortunate enough to be studying some technical roles in your university, whether it's computer engineering, electrical engineering, computer science, electronics, information systems. More power to you. That is also something that will benefit you a lot. But it all comes down to you when where you decide to begin your learning. So now that let's assume you've decided on the role you want to do, you've studied for that role, you've learned the skills. Now you believe you're a competent enough engineer, or you believe you're a competent enough developer. Where do you find opportunities? How do you break into the tech space? The first thing, Google is your friend. Google, search technology roles around me, technology roles in London, software development roles in Lagos, software, maybe you're interested in internships, programming internships in New York or something. Use Google to your advantage, right? Search for these opportunities and they'll come to you, right? So that's a good place to start. Another important resource you would find in your career is LinkedIn. You can use LinkedIn to find opportunities in a number of ways. One of them is by actively searching for those roles. So every morning or every week, LinkedIn sends me software engineering roles around me. I think when I was starting out like 3 years ago, I set an alert for LinkedIn to remind me of new roles around me, and I've forgotten to turn it off. But every single week, they send me software engineering roles around me, and I don't even look at it. But if you are someone who wants to find these tech opportunities, it's something that will be very useful to you. So LinkedIn, you can set an alert you can set the parameters you want. Maybe you want only data analytics roles in this specific city that is looking for maybe this kind of person, whether an analyst or a more experienced person. So LinkedIn is a great place to start. Another thing you can use LinkedIn for is if you find a role you are looking for, either on LinkedIn or outside of LinkedIn, you can use LinkedIn to find people that work in this company, whether it is recruiters. One place you can start is recruiters, right? So if I want to work at Google, I can look up for recruiters on Google and then maybe try and initiate a conversation with them, ask them, hi, I'm interested in applying for an internship or a role at Google, and I had a few questions I was hoping you could answer. Is this something you can do or something like that? You can always start off that way, being polite and being respectful of people's time. You can ask recruiters or people that are in these companies questions as well, and LinkedIn can help you with that. The second way you can use the LinkedIn resources that exist in a company is actively looking for people from your university or alumni network to network with, right? So let's say I went to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana. If I want to work at Facebook, beyond reaching out to recruiters at Facebook, I can do a quick search on LinkedIn of people that are working at Facebook that attended my university as well. At that point, it brings that sort of familiarity there, like, hey, you studied where I studied, and now you're working where I want to work. I want to be like you. Do you have any tips for me, or do you have anything I can use to develop myself, right? So that's a brilliant way to use LinkedIn to get the opportunities you want. Leverage it to message recruiters, leverage it to message the alumni of your university or institution that are also in the space you want to be in, and stuff like that. Another great way to find opportunities is your alumni network, as I mentioned before as well. Yeah. So beyond LinkedIn, you can also find people that went into your institutions in other places, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or something like that. Your alumni network is people that have the same qualifications or people that had similar qualifications as you, and they are making it in roles that you aspire to see yourself in. So because of that, you can also leverage them, say, hey, I see that you're working here, and I'm also in that same institution. I want to work there as well. What did you do right? What can I learn from your journey, and how can I apply it to myself, my journey? And that is a great place to be. You can also use opportunity websites. You can do a quick search for opportunities for Africans in technology, young African initiatives and stuff like that, Africa recruitment programs. There are so many of them out there, and you can get a lot of them to work for. So those are where to find the opportunities and where you can make good use of them. Now you found an opportunity. What do you need to get in? One, you need a CV or a resume. A CV is a summary of your qualifications and your skills that make you a right fit for the job you're applying to. So I can have a whole session on CV writing and all of that, but a CV is very important to break into some of these CV roles, break into these technical roles. You either need a CV or a portfolio as well, or a portfolio to break into these roles. After you've gotten through the first stage with your CV, there's probably going to be a section on acing the technical interview, where they're going to ask you technical questions, or you're going to do a pre-recorded interview like Have You, where they're going to ask you things on what you know technically, like programming skills, like programming languages, or like things like how to use Figma, or how to use the tools that you need to succeed in your job. So that is another stage that would likely come up in your technical career process. So you need to learn how to be able to ace this technical interview. Beyond the technical interview as well, there will probably be a few rounds of interviews that are looking at how you work well with other people, how much of a good fit you'll be into that company and that culture, and how you'll be able to succeed in such a space. So applying for an opportunity, you need a very good CV, you need a good portfolio as well. You need to learn how to ace the technical interview, and you need to learn how to ace the behavioral interviews. Yeah. So the frequently asked questions that people ask: do you need a degree to break into tech? Yes and no. Let me start with the no. Many of the skills when it comes to technology can be learned or acquired on your own. So you can use the free materials that I mentioned, or you can use the other paid applications that you need. So because of that, you can acquire the skills that you need to work in tech and succeed as well. So you can also do boot camps as well to learn some of these skills. You don't need to have studied computer engineering to learn how to code and to learn how to be able to do some of the nice things that there are to do in that field. You do not need a degree, but a degree will be helpful to you. A degree, not just a degree in technology, but a degree at all. Because sometimes, let's start with a degree in technology, because you can learn some of the theories that you need to understand better what is happening beyond the systems you're working with, right? So if you go through boot camps or learn online, you're only learning the languages, you're learning the theory and stuff like that on how to apply some of those things. But if you have maybe a background in technology as well, you understand the underlying architecture, you understand the underlying systems that are competing to make sure that whatever you're designing works properly. So that is an advantage of having a degree in technology. But beyond that as well, the whole reason why we're having this talk with you guys is because we want you guys to be able to have international opportunities. We want you to be able to apply to roles in, let's say, London or in America or anything like that. One of the things that these companies actively look for is people that have a degree, not just a degree in technology, but any degree at all, right? So having a degree makes you more competitive in that regard, because even when you're applying for visas or when you're applying for work permits, they use in the UK currently, they use a point systems. And having a degree is something that boosts you very much in these roles, right? So if you still have the opportunity to go to school or finish a degree, I would recommend you do it. Otherwise, it's still not the end of the world. Where do I start in my career in tech? As I mentioned earlier, the best place to start is to know what you're interested in doing, and then know the roles that you are interested in, and then start learning the skills from there. The skills can be learned from YouTube. It can be learned from paid resources like Udemy, Coursera, Pluralsight, Egghead.io, and the others. And yeah, these are some of the frequently asked questions I get from people that are looking to break into technology. And so this is where I'm going to end this presentation. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them and answer them. But however, thank you all so much for your time. And yeah, I'll be taking questions now. I don't know, Judith, if there's any place I can find these questions.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Kofi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, good. Thank you so much. It was an excellent presentation. And Sylvia, are you here? Sylvia is going to go through the Q&A with you. Sylvia.
Sylvia, you're on mute. So, you're on mute if you're speaking. Okay, I think Sylvia is having some technical issues. I'm just going to quickly raise some questions that are here. Someone asked a question that, do you need a personal computer to be able to study this?
Right. Thanks, BC. Do you need a computer to break into technology? At any point in time, any resource that you have will be beneficial to your journey. So if you have a computer, might be easier for you to learn. It might be easier for you to have the time to learn how to create these things and learn how to practice as well. But if you do not have a computer as well, then you need to improvise. You need to be creative on how you can go about it. I think you can borrow a friend's computer from time to time, maybe set like 1 hour every week to either use a friend's computer or go to an internet cafe. At the moment, at this point in time as well, there are also some resources that you can use on your mobile phone. You can go to YouTube on your mobile phone and learn some of these stuff on your mobile phone. If you are in a university or if you're in school, your school may have an IT lab which you can use to learn and practice. So when it comes to learning, you can learn without a computer. You can use a mobile phone, you can use books, you can use other online resources. When it comes to practicing, you can practice on your IT departments or your school's IT lab. You can practice on a friend's computer. You just have the most important thing is dedication and commitment. If you are committed to the goal, you'll be able to achieve it. I would agree that it will be slightly more cumbersome if you do not have a laptop, but it's possible. In my final year of university, I did not have a laptop. I was borrowing people's laptops to build my final year project, and I was able to do it. Now that I think about it, it's funny to me how I was able to do my last 2 years of university without a laptop. But it was something that I had to do. And so I was borrowing people's laptops and I was building with it. And yeah, that's also possible.
Kofi, I have a question for you, and forgive me if this question is a little bit personal, so you will have to really forgive me. How did you get your job? Do you mind to share that story so that people can see better what you were talking about when you said opportunities and searching online? But if you don't want to share it, that's also fine.
Oh yeah, sure. I can definitely share this with all of you. So as I mentioned earlier, I studied in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana. And in my third year of uni, I decided that I wanted more. I wanted to see what was outside of Ghana. So I went to the internet and I started looking out for opportunities. I searched for roles in several companies, and I found a few that I was qualified to apply to in the banking sector in London. So I applied to Microsoft, Google, Goldman, Bank of America, and all of them I applied for an internship. And all of them rejected me, all but one. And that is where I'm currently working. So because I took that chance to apply to that opportunity, I landed an internship with them. In my third year of uni, in the vacation, I flew to London to do my internship. And after the internship, I got a return offer to come back in the following year to work full-time with them. So that's what we mean by when we're talking about applying for opportunities. Take a chance, go online, apply. You'd get rejected sometimes you might not get rejected. Look out for programs that are targeting people in Africa. So Africa recruitment programs, I know Goldman has one, I know Bank of America has one, and they're actively recruiting as we speak right now. So I encourage everyone on this call, if you haven't done so, apply to them. Another brilliant resource that helped me was SEO. I don't know if many of you know SEO, Sponsors for Educational Opportunities. They actively look out for people in African countries, Ghana and Nigeria specifically, and I think they've expanded to some other African countries as well. And they put them into these technical roles in other countries or even within their own country. So that's a great place to start, a great place to find opportunities as well. SEO and Africa recruitment programs in companies that you want to work for.
Thank you so
for
much.
that question.
Thank you so much, Kofi. We've got so many questions, so I'm just going to try to go through that. But while you were speaking, I just want to make this announcement that for the past 2 years, BAF has been trying to develop their queer coding program. And personally for me, I've learned a lot from some of the things that you said this afternoon, that we were focusing more on coding, but there is more to going into tech than coding. And maybe this is something that we will have to go back and evaluate and look at and see why maybe we should just stop talking about queer coding and start talking about queer tech in Nigeria and looking at how we can get people into tech rather than just focusing on coding. The next question is that this is from Bello, and the question is, these online tech courses, are the certifications of the same standard as offline courses? First, do you need certification to get a job? That is one. Two, are there differences in certification between online and offline? And again, I want to add the third one. While we were developing this program, we were told to get Microsoft certification. Is that very, very extremely important in trying to get a job? Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for that question. So the first question, is certification important? To answer that, so from many of the roles that I've discussed today about the roles in technology, you do not need certification for many of them. You do not need certification to become a software developer, because at the moment, I don't think there is an internationally accepted, I'm not aware, that is, of any certification that you need to become a software developer. And I don't know anyone who has that certification. Things like data analytics as well, things like project management, there may not be a one-stop certification that is required to become an expert or to work in those fields. So on that part, I'll say certification is not required, but you can be certified in technologies that people use to build those things. For instance, in data analytics, I have an Alteryx certification. Alteryx is an application that people use in data analytics. It is not used everywhere, but if you have it, it's a great plus. You can be certified in Microsoft Excel. That is not a data analytics certification, but it's a certification you have to use a tool that is used in data analytics. Do you get the point I'm trying to make? So at that point in time, if you understand the role you want to work in, there may be certifications that will boost your application, or that will boost you as a competitive candidate to work in those fields. There are some roles that may be on the list I mentioned that you might need certifications for. For example, networking. Network engineering is one of the tech roles that I am aware that there are certifications for, like CCNA, like routing and switching and all of that. If you are interested in those kinds of engineering roles, you realize how much that is going more into the engineering side, then yes, you may need certification. But in the broader tech roles that I've mentioned, like UX engineering, UX, UI design, project management, you can be certified in the tools that you need to use, that you need to succeed in those roles. But there isn't one, or there aren't a set of certifications that you need to succeed in those roles, or that you need to be qualified for to work in those roles, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. There's another question, which I think is a very, very interesting question, actually, and it's about age qualification. And someone is asking, is there an age barrier to break into technology? If yes, what would you advise someone in their 40s or 50s to look into?
Is there an age barrier? So when it comes to technology, especially in the middle of the pandemic, I saw, or I heard many stories of people transitioning into tech, people that were working in other fields, people that were later in their careers, in their 30s, in their 40s, saying that I'm beginning to question whether what I'm doing is for me. And because now I have a lot of time, I want to learn technology. Can I do it? And there have been lots of success stories. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't say it's improbable. I wouldn't also say it is the most advantageous thing, but it all comes down to you as an individual. Whether I am 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, am I able to put in the time to learn the skills that I need to succeed in this role? Will I be able to adapt and learn quickly because of the nature of these roles? Because you are now going to starting all over again, there's going to be a lot of learning on your part. You have the time, you have the patience, and you have the energy. From the recruitment side, I don't think there is an age barrier. It all comes down to what the individual is able to do and how much effort they're able to put into it. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's an age barrier.
Thank you so much, Kofi. So I've got another question. Some of these courses you ask us to get some of these courses will ask us to get a software, and some of these software aren't, and sometimes they are very expensive or difficult to use or install. If a case of this, how do one go about it?
Right, sure. The beautiful thing about technology is a lot of the resources are open source. When I say something is, or even if they are not open source, they are open source alternatives. So if something is open source, it means that it's free to use and you can build on top of it. So as a software developer, I haven't had to pay for any application that I've used so far because at every point in time, it is either free or there's a free alternative. If you are going into UX design, there's always, if you don't want to pay for things like Adobe XD, or you don't want to pay for another thing, there's so many options you can choose from. There's Sketch, there's Figma, there's stuff like that as well. So you don't always have to pay for technology because there's almost always free alternatives. It is only when you want to use the industry standard that you would have to pay, or when you want to use something that is more technical or more on the business side, that you'd have to pay for something. So at that point in time, that is maybe how after you've gotten the hang of things and you understand how the technology works and you've decided that this is the tool you want to use. If you've gotten a job with an employer, they will most likely pay for this. Otherwise, you can make the investment to maybe pay for this application if you want to or not. But at any point in time, there's always a free alternative. And if there isn't, I haven't met that challenge yet in my experience. If you have an example, maybe you want to share with us, maybe I can provide you with an open source application that you can use in its place.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Thank you. Please, if you have any question, we're going to be closing very soon. So if you have any further question, please drop them in the Q&A button or drop them in the chat box. Kofi, the last one that I have so far is somebody wants you to please throw more light on data analytics and machine learning, if you don't mind.
Throw more light on data analytics and machine learning.
Yeah, you can go back to the slide if you want to.
So data analytics has to do with making meaning of data and trying to spot trends and stuff within them, right? So let me give you an example. Do any of you play FPL, Fantasy Football League? So no, that's a very bespoke example as well. So let's think of someone in business, right? And they have lots of data, historic data of how their clients have been purchasing stuff and what they do with that stuff, right? They can hire a data analytics expert to look through this data, right? And try and make information and try and make like conclusions from this data, right? So let's say a data analytics expert can look at your historic data and say that this item that you are stocking on your shelf is not selling properly. Maybe you should reduce that and sell this instead. They may also spot things like seasonalities, or they may spot trends around like what does well at a particular time of year, right? So data analytics is all about looking through large amounts of data and then spotting trends and patterns and making predictions based on that. And data analytics can be used in almost any field, right? You can look at the productivity of your employees, right? You can look at, let's say, how many hours your employees are working, and then what they're able to produce in that amount of time. If you look at that data, you can realize that maybe we need more people in this field, or we need less people, and that can be determined by data analysts who research through your data, right, to make that observation, right? So it's about spotting trends and spotting or making observations or spotting patterns in data using historic data, right? When it comes to machine learning is more on the automated side of making prediction based on past data, right? So machine learning is, let's say, I'll feed a computer system the lotto numbers of the past 10 years, the winning lottery numbers. And then I'll ask this machine to predict what the next ones will be, right? So what that machine is going to do is it's going to look at what has happened, and it would use that to determine what will happen. It is not always accurate. It is not always exact, but historic data gives an idea of what the future may hold or what may happen in the next series, right? Especially if there's a pattern. If it spots patterns and trends, we'll be able to predict the next one on the other side. So those who work in machine learning are the people that design these systems, or the people that design these machines or these robots or these automations that are able to make the predictions that we want to use. So that's it about machine learning, and that's data analytics as well.
Thank you very much, Kofi. I can't see any other question, but Kofi, I want to ask you, I know that I've had this conversation with you before. Based on this presentation that you have done now, if you are to advise us as an organization on our programming that we're trying, like I said, we were trying to set up core coding before, but listening to you and seeing the prospect of different organizations, where will you be advising us to start from? And what will you be telling us to focus more on for now, for a starter, and to encourage, we are an LGBTQI organization, as you know, and our job is we want to encourage more LGBTQI people in Nigeria to understand and embrace and go into tech as a way to solve social issues. What do you think? What is it? And what we want to do is to build the foundation. We don't want to, teach them, UI and UX or data analysis or software development. What do you think what foundation should we concentrate on and then take them to the next level?
Right. Thanks, BC, for that. I think your idea of starting with coding is not a bad shout at all. The reason for that is the barriers of entry with coding are very low. That is, if someone wants to take a coding or programming role, they do not necessarily need a degree, or they do not need to have expertise, formal education to get in there. So coding is a very great place to start. Another reason is the accessibility of resources to be able to break in. So as compared to the other fields, coding has you do not need you just need to, you can get most of the information you need to become a good coder or programmer on YouTube. There's lots of free resources to get someone to become a good coder. And even if you look at almost all of these lists, everything on this list, coding helps. So whether you are a software developer, you're going to be coding in a particular language. If you're into data analytics, you may be using Python, maybe using R or any other SQL or any other programming languages as well. User UI designers, they build front-end stuff. So they are going to having a knowledge of CSS, knowledge of HTML also works. Machine learning as well, you're going to be using Python or JavaScript or any other programming language. Cybersecurity experts use programming languages. Project manager, it is not necessarily a necessity for you to understand coding or how coding works, but it's also greatly beneficial. Many people on this list as well also use coding in one way or the other, whether it's on the DevOps side, whether it's on the architecture, they need to understand coding, right? So coding is a really great place to start to see if you are someone who will be interested in or can work in technology. And also because of the other reasons I mentioned, because of the fact that it is easily accessible. There's lots of resources online, and there's lots of opportunities as well for people, right? So getting a fundamental understanding of programming and coding is a very important to anybody that works in technology. So if you would ask anyone in tech, in any stage of their career, they will always say that at one stage of my life, I had to understand how maybe JavaScript worked. I had to understand how HTML and CSS worked. I had to understand how Python worked because I needed it to solve a particular task. So it's not a bad shout to start at coding, and you can start from there if that's what your organization has resources to do.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. So we were not misthinking there.
You're not far off at all.
We're on the right track. Thank you so much.
On the right track.
Well, before we say goodbye, I don't know if anyone else have got any question that they would like to ask. I think the last question I want to ask, Kofi, is whether it's in Africa or outside of Africa, what really are the salary range for people in tech? What could be considered at the lowest and what could be considered as the optimal?
Salary ranges. The thing about salary ranges is the range is very wide. And a developer working in San Francisco will not earn the same as a developer working in, let's say, Bengaluru or Bangalore. So, and that's it's not necessarily because of stuff like that. It's because of like where you find yourself and the location you're working in. So the range is very wide, but across board, whether you're working in San Francisco or India or Nigeria or London, UK, IT people in technology, especially when they start out, are some of the highest paid. And given a range, I can't really give a range because the range is far too wide, but the salary is very competitive. It is something that would keep you happy, if that's what you're saying. If you're doing it for the money, yes, the money will keep you happy for a while. But also we should also focus more on just the money, because you could be earning the money, but you also need to prioritize your happiness and your enjoyment. I enjoy tech. I'm sure many of you enjoy tech as well. And the money or the compensation you would receive is a good enough encouragement. But it's such a wide range to mention a specific number regardless of location. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Okay, so there's a question, and I think this is going to be the last question. And it says, from your experience, what percentage do Africans have to get opportunities abroad in tech? I mean, as a greenhorn in the field. So let me read it. From your experience, what percentage of Africans get opportunities abroad in tech? Do you have an idea? Yeah.
Ooh, there are so many Africans in Africa. I don't know how I can give a percentage across all of Africa, but I live in London now, and every year in the organizations that I work with, I know that they are actively recruiting people from Ghana, actively recruiting people from Nigeria, actively recruiting people from Kenya and other African countries. So because of how high in demand tech skills are, companies all over the world have started programs to get people from these places. Facebook, and also because of the recent Black Lives Matter thing, the Black Lives Matter initiative that's background, companies have now committed so much more to diversity and recruiting Black talent that they're actively sourcing them from within their communities and then internationally as well. And so there's lots of opportunities out there. I cannot give a specific number, but if we were to do a quick Google search of let's say Africa recruiting initiatives, and let's say a place you want to work, let's say London, it would give you a good idea of student programs in the different companies that you can work for. I just did a quick Google search and I can find so many of them. And I'll encourage you to do the same as well. You find so many opportunities for Africans outside. I can't give a fixed number, as I mentioned before, but it exists, and I would encourage you to do that search.
Kofi, before you go, I think this might be a very important question. I don't know why it has now come to some of this. So I have a degree and I want to go into tech. How many years will it get me to have the confidence to go and apply for a job in tech? How many years of studying? How many years do I need to? So if you go into medicine, you study for certain years. If you go into law, you study for certain years. But in the area of tech, and I want to study online, how many years should I be looking at?
Right, that's a good question. Unlike all those other fields where there's a fixed curriculum or a fixed path, there's nothing like that in tech. It all comes down to you as an individual, your capacity or capability to learn quickly, and then the route you want to take as well. So some people may do a boot camp in 6 weeks, and then they'll gain the skills that they need, but now they need to practice on those skills and build projects and then build things with that to know that they fully understood that. That may take you another few weeks or months even. Some people will take longer to learn. Some people may go the YouTube route. Some people may take a fixed course on Coursera or Udemy, which may take a few weeks or months, depending on how you want to go about it. But to apply for a job, there is no fixed requirement, especially as a beginner, an entry-level job. They do not, even for many of these companies, they do not even expect like you to have done like too much. They just need the fact that you are someone who has a few core competencies and someone who can be trained or who are shown that they can learn on the job to build some of these things. So there's no fixed time. If I were to start over, it would take me some months to get into a place where I will be comfortable to apply. But that's just me, because I might be very particular about things. I want to have built a few mini projects before I send in my first application. Some people may be more confident than I am. So maybe after a month or two of learning, they may start applying for jobs. But it all comes down to the individual. How much can you learn in a space of time, and how much time do you need to build projects or to demonstrate your learning? There's no fixed period, and it's all up to you.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Really, really, really appreciate this. And you can see from the comment how much this has really been inspirational to people. I think just as a roundup, it doesn't matter your degree, whether you're a lawyer, you're a journalist, you're a doctor, you are a lab scientist, you are a dramatist, whatever it is that you have as a degree going into tech, if it is something that you would love to, will be beneficiary to you. And again, going online and trying to build your skill, it's really going to be very helpful. And you can diversify. So today you get the skill and you can say, I want to go into tech. And the most beautiful thing about this is that you can bring your experience of your degree, whether as a lawyer, as a doctor, and combine that with being somebody who has gone into tech to solve a particular problem. So as you go away today, think about it, is tech something that I want to look into, and how do I want to do this? Like I said, the BC Alumni Foundation is seriously looking into queer coding. We've been looking at this for the past 2 years. Our issues have been how to develop the infrastructure. And when we have our staff away, it's something we're going to be focusing on extremely. We want to start this. We want to train and support LGBTQI people in Nigeria to go into tech. Also, I just want to quickly inform all of you, you can look for it. It's called the London Tech Advocates and the Global Tech Advocates. Look for them online and sign up to their newsletter. They have such an amazing programs that they do, and also training, and it also gives opportunity for jobs. Also, there is a coding program called Out in Tech. They are based in the US and in the UK. And Out in Tech is a group for LGBT people who are in or who wants to go into tech. I would really, really, really encourage you to Google Out in Tech, read up on them, and sign up to their newsletters. They have a program where you can actually do crash courses on tech. Like I said, the BC Alumni Foundation is open to start a crash course on tech, just like Kofi said, just to give you a 6 weeks understanding of what tech is, and then you can build on that. Just one more thing, at the end of this, you're gonna get a feedback form about this webinar. We will really appreciate if you can fill it, and you can please send it back to us. And to Ajim, yes, we will be sending the slides to everyone. Kofi will send it to us and we'll share it with every one of you. This presentation will be on our Facebook page. We're going to do an edited version of it, and we're going to share that with you as well. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Judith and to Mashood.